Okay, so let's start with Dasharo Community Status. We will talk a little bit about the events roadmap, where you can meet Dasharo team, in what places, or where we've been over last months. Also, what's the status of Dasharo issues repo? It's always growing, of course, but anyway, this is not the indication of the problems that we have, but the healthiness of the ecosystem. It is always important to have enough backlog to work on. Then we will talk about our downstreams, our Coreboot and EDK2 downstream. Then after that, we will talk about a little bit about the upstreaming effort and what are the plans for that, and then what is the activity in the Dasharo Matrix ecosystem. Okay, so during winter, like at the beginning of to the end of the January, but we started preparation from the beginning of January. There was Zen Winter Meetup in Grenoble in France. It was great event, really well organized by Vates. So thanks to Vates for hosting that. But during the event, we meet each other. There was also a lot of wine and beer. So I spent like almost every evening with Andrew, talking about really cool stuff about Zen and where things can go regarding security. I had a presentation there about enabling UEFI secure boot in XCP-ng, but not only in XCP-ng, but also in all the downstream Zen distributions like KubeOS also can benefit from that. So yeah, unfortunately it was not recorded, but slides are on the website. I will let you know on the next slide where you can find it. Then there was right after that, so directly from Grenoble, I was traveling to Brussels for the FOSDEM 25. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it for the first talks because organizers put our schedule on the Saturday morning, and I arrived like after 12, so I couldn't make it for some talks. But anyway, I know Daniel Kieper did a good job in hosting that event and supporting all the speakers. We gradually publish, I guess like we have probably 80% published videos, because we have to go through review of these videos and of course ping the speakers for reviewing process. So if you were speaker at the FOSDEM, please check if your talk was published. If not, that means you didn't make your review. So please help us making every video from the open source firmware dev room public. Yeah, anyway, FOSDEM was amazing event. We received way more call for papers, call for proposals than we could accept, so we have to reject a bunch of those, but that's also good. That means like we essentially this room is healthy. I guess we get also the biggest room ever regarding the space, so that's also thanks to the FOSDEM organizers, for FOSDEM staff. Yeah, and after the FOSDEM, we did some after party. It was also great to meet many people. I received many good opinions about Dasharo documentation. I know that Dasharo developers and Dasharo always think it could be better, but it is very interesting that a lot of people came to me after the dev room and said, Peter, the documentation is great, I really like it, and so on and so on. So congratulations to everyone who contributed to Dasharo documentation, because community users really like it. Yeah, so a lot of words of encouragement during the FOSDEM 25. So we are right now in March, and right now we have Dasharo user group number 9, and we will also go into VPUB in let's say like almost 2 hours. But what's next? The next is some small event that I plan. This would be event about embedded Linux, and my goal is to have some showcase of Yocto work and embedded Linux work that Zarhu's team did. So Zarhu's team is a part of 3MDEP, which is responsible for embedded Linux related work, and they do very cool stuff also with security, like secured storage in trusted execution environment, secure boot, or like secure boot in terms of root of trust, static root of trust, verified by let's say ARM SoC vendor Bootron, let's say. So NXP, Rockchip, all those things. There is a lot of cool stuff coming there, and I hope to have very demo-driven Zarhus Developers Meetup, where we should showcase in 2 hours, okay, what we have right now, where we're going, and hopefully maybe we'll spin off something similar to Dasharo User Group and Dasharo Developers VPAP. But let's see how this first event will go. After that, in May, we're planning to go to Hardware I/O US. I guess like this is like already 95% sure this will happen. So Hardware I/O is very nice event for hardware pen testers, hardware validation teams, hardware security people. It is essentially an event divided in 2 pieces: the training part and the conference part. So I will have training there. It would be in Santa Clara. So I will have mastering UEFI Secure Boot and Intel Root of Trust Technologies training for first 3 days, and then I will attend the conference. I was thinking about having a talk there, but eventually all the other priorities kind of distracted me and didn't deliver the presentation. Maybe next one, maybe, which I don't know if it will be in Netherlands. We will see. Then we have in June we're planning Dasharo User Group number 10. And I guess that's it for the first half of the year. So this is essentially a list of the talks that we had on the open source firmware dev room on the FOSDEM. So you can see that we got Lennart, and Lennart classically talk about UKIs and all the unified kernel images related stuff and systemd. That's he already gained his own dev room like dedicated to that. I know it was very popular. It is very interesting that from the talks he grows into whole dev room. But essentially he was very generous to also came to our dev room and give a talk. So thanks Lennart for that. And then we had Voltwood about secure boot, which you can leverage on all architectures. So like really interesting talk. I guess video is already there, so you can watch. Then we have 9 Elements talk about firmware action and essentially building firmware. So I guess this is related with their spin-off correct firmware CI. It was also very interesting talk. I know that the video is not there because there are some missing minutes there, but I don't know, like there are some ideas how to fix that, and then after that we will publish that. So then Jean-Marie Verdun from HP Enterprise talk about open source firmware and server security. Daniel gave a talk about Grab project status. Of course, a lot of things about fixing CVEs and essentially what came into last Grab release. Then there was presentation about running AMD SEV SNP in OVMF, and essentially how to modern cloud could leverage those very nice confidential computing technologies. Very good talk from Marta about exterminating all the bootloaders that are blocking road to booting the system directly from UEFI. We will see where this will go, but essentially it looks like Red Hat got this idea, wants to pursue that. We will see how this will end up. Then Maciej and Daniel gave a talk about Trench, but it was also like a status update, like a classical status update for the project, because we are already at RFC version 13, I guess. Already gets very positive feedback from Jarko Sakinen, who's a TPM subsystem maintainer. So I think we are very close to achieving something and merging after, I don't know, 5 years of development of Trench boot. Maybe we finally will have something upstream. Also, 9 Elements, Patrick Rudolph, very nice talk about ACPI support in U-boot for ARM64. Of course, there was discussion. Some people got different concepts how this should be done. Of course, not everyone likes ACPI. That's obvious, but I don't know if we can escape from ACPI or we can escape from UEFI. So maybe that's also a good topic for VPAP. Yeah, there was interesting talk about booting laptops, ARM laptops. This was on Lenovo, and how Device Tree help with that. It was very nice talk. And then of course we had announcement from me, maybe not that interesting right now. So regarding the videos from the last Dasharo user group and VPAP, it's already there. All the slides are public, or the videos are public. So feel free to feel free to go to YouTube and watch whatever you like. There were very nice talks there regarding, especially on VPAP, regarding AMD security and so on. Slides for the winter meetup also published behind the link. I guess you will get the slides. Whoever, like, if you bought the tickets, you will get the slides, yeah, and then you can use those links. And of course, like videos and slides on the FOSDEM website. Excuse me. For the second half of the year, I don't do much of the plans. There are a lot of various conferences, but for what I can be sure right now is definitely there will be Dasharo user group meetup in September, as well as CubeSOS Summit. This is also a well-defined date. It would be 26 September. I have also this information later. There's also a plan, of course, for Hardware I/O. I don't know, October, November, I don't know when it will be. It would be probably announced after the US version. Then, yeah, then I guess that's it. In December, we will probably have Dasharo User Group 12. What else we may have? Like, there is also Linux Plumbers Conference planned in Japan, in Tokyo. But I don't know if I will go there. We will see. I'm still wondering if this is good direction. There is also Zen Summit planned in Silicon Valley in September, but September is already crowded. And yeah, and Zen Summit will be in AMD headquarters. So it would be nice to visit them and nice to see some people which work there. We will see if this is possible for 3MDev. Maybe someone will go from 3MDev if we will have something to present, and of course if our CFP will be approved. Okay, I guess like I announced that also on last Dasharo user group. But whoever wants to join the commercial training, please feel free to go Hardware I/O and just like join the conference or join the training. It really helps me if you go to the trainings. If your company have budget or you have budget to go to the training, it really helps 3MDev to move on and essentially, making our own dime on open source and open source firmware is not easy thing. So if someone buying our training or is helping us, so we appreciate everyone who already joined to this training and contribute feedback how we can make it better. To not be just like about money and about earning, there will be something which will be free of charge from that, because that training will be eventually delivered as a open security training on the Xenocovac platform or OST2 non-profit platform, non-profit organization platform, which is open access, free access. Some videos even land after some time on YouTube. So I'm planning to deliver Arch 4221 UEFI secure boot there and TC3211 Intel boot guard, with the caveat that Intel boot guard, of course, will be based totally on open materials. There will be no NDA knowledge in that training. Yeah. Okay. So when it will happen, I don't know. Hopefully, first half of the year. But I'm already delayed that for 12 months. So yeah, sorry for that. But there are other priorities always popping up. But hopefully, this will be delivered in first half of the year. Okay, let's look at the Dasharo issues. So number of reported bugs was almost the same as in last quarter. So we can say we have steady pace of the bugs every quarter. So this average is around 110. So we essentially here have like ideal quarter. So total numbers of all reported is 1200, and we fixed 81. And this is like 14 bugs more than last quarter. Of course, it doesn't matter the number of bugs. It matters the size of the bugs and the significance for the end users and for the community. But on the other side, I have to employ some measures, like having subjective measure of which bug is more important, which is less important. Yeah, it's not easy thing to show. So this is how it looks like. So maybe let's go further. Yeah, so here essentially list does not change for quite some time. I guess we always gaining some new commenters, some new users on the Dasharo issues. Also, top commenters are almost always the same. I just extended the list to this time by 6th position. I typically give five position, but I extended to Firminator because I think Firminator was very active this quarter. Of course, he didn't make to first 5 places, but anyway, I guess like in long run, I would like to think about those ranks that it's, you know, those people will gain something, will gain some value. I don't know, maybe free access to the Dasharo pro package, I don't know, or maybe other stuff. Of course, Wessel does not need that because Wessel essentially driving his own business, and yeah. So and Thierry use heads, so probably also don't need that. He rather going into rolling release of heads. But Zirblazer, I think he already using MSI stuff. Maybe in long run he could use also other Dasharo firmware. So definitely he will get access without question to all the Dasharo pro packages if he wants. Yeah. Rene also supporting us a lot. Marek getting access because of the CubeSOS certification. So if Firminator you want to get some perks from your activity, feel free to contact us and we will be glad to compensate in whatever way we can. Okay, regarding the pull requests, our average tempo of merging changes dropped from around 26 pull requests per quarter to 24. I guess this is very slow, but what I can say, we were busy with many other things, and essentially maybe those pull requests also were bigger. I don't know. I didn't measure that exactly. But you can see like even the problem is also the growing number of open pull requests. So you can see that when I started to measure that at the beginning of 2023, it was just 4 open pull requests, and we like gradually growing with the open pull requests. I guess that's the number that concerns me, because essentially we're growing every time like 3, 7, maybe 8. So it's like maybe a little bit bad situation that we have constantly growing number of open pull requests. Number of merging pull requests slowly dropped, so maybe that's also impact of open one. Yeah, I guess like this is partially also to be blamed for the lack of availability of the team because of various like flu season or something. Yeah. Of course, we would love to dedicate 100% of our time to open source firmware, but at this point it is not possible, and we have to provide additional services which are not open source. Yeah. Regarding the Dasharo core boot upstreaming, I guess it's much better quarter than the previous one, because the previous one was like terrible, but we get it back on track for upstreaming. So our total amount of upstreamed code is 50,000 lines of code. Of course, this is not a lot, like 3MDEP is 10 years on the market, but on the other side, there are some people claiming that we do not upstream. So this is essentially evidence, like someone can check that, go to the repository and essentially find all the contributions from 3MDEP. Maybe like there are people which contributed much more. There are also some changes which are just dummy changes, like so there are some massive changes of the names or massive changes to compliant to new C standard or whatever, and that way essentially someone can get very easily thousands lines of code contributed. We don't do this. We don't have this kind of change. We do not contribute to core boot changes which are like a whole tree modification. So maybe that is worth to mention, that we essentially not pumping up these stats. So average contribution from 3MDEP is around 2,500 lines of code quarterly. And of course, with that tempo, we'll probably never get out of our backlog. But to have faster contribution, better contribution, we essentially need more time of developers spent on open source. And for that, we need, of course, better margins, because otherwise we don't have resources to assign developers to open source work. Yeah. So regarding comparison between Dasharo branch and upstream 2408, which is like this statistic is very weird, because like how to say that, this deletions like looks very bad. I think this is because of the branching. So let's ignore deletions because deletions are very big and definitely not true. I guess this is because of some difference in branching, but essentially insertions and files changes should be accurate. I guess we, in comparison to last Dasharo user group, we grow like 5,000 lines of code that is sitting on our branch and is not upstream. So essentially, this is code that's sitting on our branch and is not upstream. But on the other side, the problem is that that we are under the rebase to 2412, core boot 2412. And I think that when we will finish that rebase, I hope to report the results next quarter. I think this will just like vanish and there will be massive change here. So let's hope for that. I don't have correct numbers. I don't have even estimation, but yeah, but it was looking like that. So who was the biggest contributor this quarter or since last Dasharo user group? So Michał Kopeć, known also on Matrix as a MKC. So this is like 1,500 lines of code added, mostly around Meteor Lake and GPU, also around audio. Of course, there were smaller patches also in that. Michał Żygowski, known on Matrix as a Miczyk, or I don't know how you spell it in English, but essentially in Polish it would be Miczyk. But Michał did some stuff regarding Cannon Lake and some small improvements in some missing skew in area of graphics. So there were like very small patches, but also important that they were approved upstream. Then Sergey also started to merge some stuff regarding UEFI capsules. This is our big project where we essentially making core boot a UEFI capsule like that. We can update core boot based firmware using UEFI capsule method. And that's very good. We hope to introduce that to all Dasharo supported platforms. Of course, to have it, we need time, we need resources, but that's essentially the long-term plan. And also we're trying to upstream stuff to EDK2. We will see how this will go because, we know that it's not that easy to get something to Tiana core community, but maybe I'm wrong this time and it would be much easier than I anticipate. Yeah, so once more time that congratulations to Michał Kopeć for making this quarter the biggest contribution. The EDK2, I guess activity is quite big in EDK2 and it's growing. On average, we merge 15 pull requests into EDK2, so you can see comparison like 24 in core boot and 15 in EDK2. Right now we are in process of rebasing EDK2 to version 2025.02, and I guess that also will bring some nice improvements, which will be explained in release notes of the new releases, which will be based on this most recent version of EDK2. Okay, number of growing stars. Yeah, so those are not counted in hundreds or thousands, like in some nice JavaScript repos or Python repos or even Golang repos, but for us, gaining 20 stars is good. So if you have a GitHub account and you appreciate our work, please go to GitHub account. Just like it's not taking much time. Add some star if you like the project. It's always like almost zero effort contribution to the success of Dasharo. So thank you very much in advance, and thanks to all that already did that. So yeah, so this is the progress that we have. Regarding Dasharo Matrix community, we have a very low activity period, I would say, because the previous quarter was like twice the messages. So there's really a little bit slowdown. Regarding users, I guess this is like almost the same, maybe slightly smaller number of users, but still. Regarding the top contributors and top kind of people that talking on chat, there is no change. Essentially, we have the same people on the same essentially. This does not change. I guess Thierry advanced to position 4. He was on position 5 last time. So congratulations to Thierry for being engaged in the Dasharo community. Thank you very much, Thierry, for that. Yeah. So this is number of growing users in the Dasharo matrix space. I really like it. So in 2 years, we gathered a community of 430 people, and that's good. That's good. Of course, it's very far from other communities. I guess we will have to triple our numbers or quadruple our numbers to achieve the size of other communities. But on the other side, who we are just like small downstream of Coreboot, and yeah, to get fame, we should probably deliver much more. And prove that it's really good quality. Regarding the most active channels, the ranking changed a little bit because last time when I reported, definitely random channel was the one which were discussed the most, which got the most messages. This time support, and this is like, I don't know if this is good or bad, but people coming to support channel discussing. Of course, there is support, and there is like a primer support, which is like a private invite only channel for Dasharo Pro Package subscribers or Dasharo Pro Package users, customers. But anyway, support channel is also like somewhere when you can get some feedback, some encouragement, some directions to documentation, and maybe even some solutions. I know Zirblazer does a lot of good job to point people to best solution he knows. So thank you, Zirblazer, for that. It's always a pleasure to have you animating Dasharo community. Thank you very much for that. The other channel which were very active was Dasharo open source firmware validation. As you know, like validation is extremely important for making stable releases and making long-term things working. For us, of course, it boils down to hardware lab, which is very hard to maintain. But anyway, yeah. So for those who don't know, who, for example, joined the Dasharo Developers VPAP Matrix channel, please note there are other channels. You're just going to your Matrix client and going to the Dasharo space, and you have list of quite a lot of channels which you can join. And yeah, those channels vary in activity. So yeah, depending what you need, please join.